Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Cool Whip, and I am an idiot. So I have not been keeping track of what's been going on YouTube or Twitter in regards to the whole Malfeasance questline stuff, okay? Since I haven't been keeping track, I was under the assumption that completing the Gambit rank up twice was going to lead to the enigmatic reward dropping the Malfeasance quest, and then I'd have to go hunt down the Malfeasance boss and assemble the Malfeasance and kill Guardians and stuff like that. But no, I got a rocket launcher from my enigmatic reward for ranking up twice. Needless to say, I'm a little disappointed. Especially considering how long it took me to rank up the second time. So the first rank up wasn't so bad because the game mode itself was new and fresh and all that kind of stuff, and there was a large period of time where not everybody and their mom was running Sleeper Simulant. Now, however, things are a little bit different. Solo queuing, which is what I tend to do in this game because, one, I like to play solo, and two, I think it's a good way to play the game if you're trying to get a general consensus of how the game feels from different viewpoints, because this game plays extremely well when you're on a team. So there's no real need to say, well, if you're on a team, this game mode's awesome, because it is awesome. This game mode is fantastic. But you don't really get good opinions about the balance or the situations within the game if you're always playing with the team. Sometimes you have to go into activities solo. That's why I do a lot of solo queue comp. That's why I do a lot of solo queue PvP. One, because I also like to solo queue. But two, solo queuing is good for feedback. It's good for understanding balance in general against the general population. So what I did notice about the Gambit playlist, and this is my feedback about the Gambit playlist in general, is that the Gambit playlist itself, the game mode itself, is awesome. It's really fun. It's really enjoyable. Right now, it is pretty dominated by Sleeper Simulant, and I'm not really one way or the other on Sleeper Simulant. Yeah, I think it's pretty powerful. Yeah, I get way more ammo for Sleeper Simulant than I do for anything else. Yeah, a lot of people use Sleeper Simulant, and yeah, I do get killed by Sleeper Simulant more than I get killed by anything else from the opponents. And yeah, I think that that's probably a big warning sign or a red flag as to the general balance of the weapon itself. But I also think that we do need weapons like Sleeper Simulant because they're cool weapons. They do cool stuff. If Sleeper Simulant was a weak-ass bitch gun, who would fucking use it? Nobody would want to use the gun. And it's a dope gun. It's so cool. So I'm okay with Sleeper being really cool and really strong. But there are other powerful options out there, but they're just not as easy to use as Sleeper Simulant is. And Sleeper Simulant, you can map people with it. You can break down your blockers with it. You can take down the boss with it. It's such a versatile weapon that there really is no other option. Now, I tried out a bunch of different builds. I tried using the Colony. I tried using Darcy. I tried using Tractor Cannon. I tried using Whisper of the Worm. And all of them are fine, but they all have their drawbacks that Sleeper just doesn't. Darcy and Whisper the Worm are fantastic DPS weapons, but you have to hit the hits. You have to hit the heads. I was going to say crits and heads at the same time, but I just can't do that. You have to hit your crits with those weapons, and since Sniper's got a bit of a nerf to their hitbox because they're so prevalent now, you have access to them more often, their hitbox requires a lot more accuracy. So proccing White Nail, for instance, on Whisper the Worm in Gambit is not the easiest thing to do. Especially when you have a bunch of fire coming in at you, and you've got, invaders and all that kind of stuff with Sleeper Simulant. It's not the easiest weapon to use. It's also not very good at doing ad clearance or anything like that. It's not good against the blockers. So it's really got one niche role that it's good at, which is it's kind of basic against invading, and it's okay if you're really, really, really accurate with your shots and you can proc White Nail. Darcy falls in the same line, except it has a little bit more utility against Guardians when you're invading. And the Colony doesn't do a bunch of damage, but it does shield break for the Gambit witches, the ladies, the emissaries, and it's also good for invading. So I personally am kind of in favor of using the Colony because I'm also a scumbag. The second side of it is if you're playing an absolute support role like I was for a while, where I'd run in with the Tractor Cannon, pop my Well of Radiance, and then use the Ikelos shotgun melee empower with your melee, and then dump a bunch of damage as a pure DPS support. You can win games like that. If you have a good, cohesive team that's all tandemly using their supers and wiping and all that kind of stuff, you'll win games really quickly and very efficiently. So I have run into players in the solo queue that are on point with what they're doing. Other times, solo queuing, you run into the mix match of 4-stack versus people that just are in the Gambit playlist because they're just playing Gambit, and they're expecting a little bit of a casual experience, and then you just get wrecked. And feels bad. It feels really bad. And I think the stark difference between those two experiences is mainly because Gambit is such a cooperative game mode that the best experience you can have in it is if you're going in with a full team that is cohesive and knows what it's doing. Yeah, you can win games in solo queue, and believe me, I reset my card twice doing it predominantly solo queue, so you can do it. It's not unattainable. And you do run into good players that know what they're doing. And the solo queue experience isn't terrible all the time, but every once in a while you get some games in there that make you pretty salty, and those salty games kind of leave a bad taste in your mouth, especially when there's weapons and things like Sleeper Simulant floating around that are so prevalent and so widely used and so easy to use for the most part. Now, if we have the sleeper whole debacle addressed, which it is being addressed by the Bungie official sandbox team and all that kind of stuff, there's been tweets about it. Yeah, I think that this game mode will be more balanced, more refined, more enjoyable as a casual, pseudo-competitive game mode. Actually, I personally think that Gambit itself is very competitive. I get really, really, really hyped up, and I get in the mode of winning the game, and I love the intro, and I love all that kind of stuff. It just feels good to play the game mode. And I didn't originally think, on first blush, when I saw the Gambit playlist introduced on one of the Bungie streams, that this was going to be a competitive endeavor, but honestly, I think Gambit, when played well by good players against good playing players, can be extremely competitive. It's fun to watch, it's fun to play, and when it's not overly dominated by one weapon type, then yeah, it's a very good experience. So my general feedback about the Gambit playlist is overall positive. I think if Sleeper wasn't considered into the whole calculations for like a ranking system on points out of 10, I'd probably give the Gambit playlist like an 8 or a 9 out of 10 as far as enjoyment goes, especially if you're playing with the team. If you're not playing with the team, probably more like a 6.5 out of 10 because you have more randomosity going on. You just have things that can go wrong and that can spoil your experience a little bit more when there's not a lot of cohesion and all that kind of stuff in the actual playlist itself. So I think Gambit is a great experience. I think you should definitely play it. But don't be a fool like me and shoot for the moon and try and do the double reset right now, because there's really nothing for it, and there's nothing for you at the end of the road. I got a rocket launcher, and I don't even like rocket launchers, so I'm pretty disappointed in that. Minus my disappointment, I think that it's still a good playlist, but now that I've finished my second reset and I know that Malfeasance isn't linked to resetting my Gambit rank, I'm not going back into Gambit. I'm done with Gambit for the time being. So until then, have a good day, and I will catch you guys later, and thanks for stopping by. Have a good one.